and welcome to the Banter podcast, the most exciting show out there for sports talk. We got me, host Korey Moore today, and we got Brennan, we got Kyle. Guys, how are we doing?
Doing great, as always, Korey.
I'm doing all right.
Loving
We
it.
gotta find a different way to introduce these episodes because I feel like I've said that every single time. All right, how are you guys doing?
I'm absolutely
we'll come up with something
right now.
We'll come up
Maybe
with something.
We should get
brainstorm some ideas.
We should get an animated intro or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll cost some money.
That'd be kind of crazy.
That'd be kind of sick. Although only the YouTube viewers can see it. We'll make a little bit of a bump.
Well,
get a little bit of that going. Just some
maybe
voiceovers.
Yeah, no, that would be exciting.
We'll see.
Maybe we could show a political cartoon at the beginning of every episode. I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
Where did that come from?
All right, guys, it's Super Bowl Sunday week. It's almost Super Bowl Sunday. Exciting stuff. And
Super Bowl week.
We're gonna have a few questions about that, and then we're gonna have other stuff going on. NBA trade deadline just ended, so I'm excited to go. If you guys are,
that it did.
You guys ready?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Ready to banter on some
As always, we have a 25-minute timer for all of the questions for today before the 2-minute speed round, which I will tell you the details of that once we get to it. You guys got to get
we got nothing.
You guys got to get 10 points as a team between those two portions there. If you disagree on any of the questions that I ask in the 25 minutes, then you will each have 35 seconds to talk and a minute 30 to discuss it. If you agree, you get a free point. Awesome. Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to
starts in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Okay, so we may revisit this question next week after the game. But beforehand, what do we think will go down as this Super Bowl's legacy? So what kind of legacy is that, Brennan? Okay, all right. So Kyle gave an actual answer. Brennan did not. We're going to hear Kyle first.
I did give an answer.
Kyle, go ahead.
Alrighty, so I think the real legacy of this game is going to be, can anyone put Patrick Mahomes in check? Now, because he's been through a tear since he's gotten into the league in 2018. He's currently 14-3 in his playoff career. That is the same amount of wins as Peyton Manning, which is really, really incredible. His only losses are to Tom Brady twice and Joe Burrow. And he only just played in his first 2 away playoff games in his entire career. He started being a starter in 2018, and it only took until 2024 for him to go on the road in a playoff game, and he won both of them. And if this loaded 49ers team cannot win against what was thought to be kind of a middle-of-the-road Chiefs team going into this year, then we got to think about who can beat them at this point.
So we got a good legacy there. Now, Brennan, what do you have to say?
All right, so I kind of worded my question or my answer a bit generically here. I'm talking about league impacting change. All right, regardless of the outcome of this game, you either the 49ers win. If they win, they will tie the Steelers and the Patriots for the most Super Bowls in NFL history. Then you got to have the discussion of where do the 49ers rank as a franchise all time among the leaders. Are they the best franchise the league has ever seen? And then I basically, if the Chiefs win, I basically said exactly what Kyle said. So I had Kyle's answer plus what would happen if the Niners win, league changing.
Okay, so can we pinpoint one specific thing for this game's legacy if you had to predict?
I keep walking around it. I talked about it a week or 2 ago. I'm going to talk about it now. It's Patrick Mahomes. We got to figure out if he is he going to be the guy the next Tom Brady, because that's what it seems like is going to happen. And
I think he already is the next Tom Brady. Almost, it seems like he already is. He doesn't need to win
at this point. Is what I'm trying to ask. Because if this entirely loaded, top to bottom, the offense is great, defense is great, this 49ers team is loaded. If they can't beat him in what was thought to be a down year, it's going to be pretty scary for the rest of the league.
I think the Niners have the best shot of beating Mahomes, and my gut is telling me to go with the Niners, but just something about Mahomes, you can't bet against Mahomes. I thought he was.
I said that a week or 2 ago.
I mean, being a Bills fan, I was a bit iffy going into the game because we've never beaten him, so I always knew there was a chance he could. But against the Ravens, I thought there was no chance that he could walk into Baltimore and beat them, and he did. And as of now, you can't bet against Mahomes. And I think all right, so we can agree that, do you think Brock Purdy and the 49ers have the best chance of beating him?
So far this year?
Regardless, so far this season. The 49ers? Okay. Yeah, all right. So we agree.
That's a completely different kind of question you're agreeing on.
All right.
But I guess we'll take it,
You have stretched agreements.
I understand.
Far
I
worse
agree. But that is
than what we
all right,
did.
So
right
we
there.
agree that Patrick Mahomes is going against his greatest challenge yet right now. That's the legacy here of this game. Awesome. All right, we're gonna stay. We're gonna stay in NFL land. Is that okay for you guys?
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's another question.
Here.
All right, so we got a lot of same position matchups going on in this Super Bowl. Which one are you most excited to see?
Ooh, this is a unique answer for me, but you know what? I don't care.
Oh,
Brennan, you coming in? You going to put in an answer?
It's time for this answer here.
I'll just put that.
Oh, we kind of agree. We kind of sort of agree.
We kind of.
But
yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's hear Kyle first.
All right. So, as a man who saw Najee Harris and Jalen Warren kind of soar that last month of the season, I love a good running back or just running tandem in general. And I think both teams kind of underratedly. Both the rushing attacks are really, really awesome. So the Chiefs, you got Isaiah Pacheco, obviously. That guy, famously, he runs like he hates the ground. Like, he just will tear through anyone. He is just trying to get that ball in the end zone. I love him. And he's been particularly very, very good this playoff run so far. And obviously the 49ers with McCaffrey, nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards this season, which is really incredible. Focal point in that offense. Already a great offense. But I love both of them.
And Brennan.
All right, so I said this game, a lot of other games, is going to come down to the trenches. The Kansas City Chiefs have been playing great defense all season. They now go up against a great 49ers offensive line. Trent Williams is back healthy, going up against Chris Jones. And on the flip side, the Chiefs offensive line, this has probably been the best it's been in Patrick Mahomes' entire career. A huge reason why they are where they are now is because of that Chiefs offensive line going up against they've had a down year, but a very stout San Francisco offensive line. Usually in the past, Nick Bosa, of course, and company. So I think this game is going to come down to that.
Okay.
Not much to be said. How well can they contain?
Minute and a half for you guys.
So I do want to say something about this. I totally agree that trenches are, because obviously that involves how open the running backs can get.
Mm-hmm. It involves running backs. Yeah.
I think the last year when the Eagles came into that Super Bowl with just every player on defense having multiple sacks, this and that, and the Chiefs, I don't think gave up a sack during that game. So in all aspects, I think we sort of agree that no, you go, Brennan. You go, Brennan.
Well, I'm saying you don't know what's gonna happen this season. But I'm not looking at just sacks. I'm also looking at what you said, tackles for loss in the backfield. Can the Kansas City Chiefs stop Christian McCaffrey? Will they be able to get after him? And same with Pacheco. Can the 49ers defensive line, I mentioned they've had a bit of a down year. Can they come back? Can they stop Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield, who's having another great postseason? I think that's all it really comes down to. I'm running backs, including the trenches. And I mean, I just saw something about this earlier. The officiating crew in the Super Bowl rarely calls holding calls.
So that's going to be huge,
so it's going
huge thing then.
It's going to be huge for the trenches and running backs too, because like you said,
all respect to the defensive backs on the Chiefs because they've done perfectly, but I think definitely it's going to be involving what happens on the line of scrimmage. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So is that an agreement for you guys?
I would say so.
Awesome. Good to hear. I thought it was. Mm-hmm. So 2 points for you guys. That was a good discussion there. Good to hear. We're going to switch to a different sport here, different league. We're going to talk about the NBA because the trade deadline ended Thursday here at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So with that fully behind us, what player do you think most benefited in the long run by the deal that he was in? So we're not necessarily talking about teams. We're talking
Hold
about the
on.
player and their legacy, their current situation, who is most benefited. All right, we have an agreement here,
Yeah, we
and
agree.
it's Pascal Siakam, who is now an Indiana Pacer. He's been
All
for a couple weeks here.
This is true.
1 minute. Let's hear it.
All right, so I wanted to wait because my answer probably would have changed if anybody else was traded, but this was like the big move. And I mean, you had a couple of smaller ones, but in terms of a player benefiting the most, I think it has to be Siakam. One, he gets traded to a contender in the Indiana Pacers, who now that they have him on the team, they could. Well, the Pacers. I saw your expression there, Kyle. They're better than the Raptors. They're in a better situation than the Raptors. They have a very young core that are a dark horse to make a deep run in the playoffs. And if Siakam succeeds, he's going to be a free agent after this year. He goes. I don't know if he'll re-sign with Indiana, get a bag there, but he has the ability to go anywhere he wants and get the bag anywhere he goes if he performs on a contending team.
I totally agree. And you want to talk about a guy that, aside from that championship run in 19, has not had the best team around him, and who totally can be that like second or third option on a championship team. I totally agree. I think the Pacers hopefully sign him to some large deal later on in time. I think he would work wonders for them. He would work wonders for them.
We are excited about Pascal Siakam. I am also excited about Siakam.
Oh, I'm very
I also
excited
would have
about
thrown
Pascal
out maybe
Siakam.
a Gordon Hayward who went to OKC this week, but
yeah,
I mean
that happened.
Yeah, he's late in his career, so I get that.
I mean, he's
all
late,
right. So moving back into Super Bowl talk, but in a kind of a different lens here, we're going to compare that to a different league over in the MLB. So the NFL Super Bowl viewership has been setting record highs in recent history. They set a record high last year, but the World Series viewership is only going down. So solve this problem for the MLB. What do they need to do to get their World Series viewership back? Okay. All right. Okay. I see a little bit of a difference, a little bit of an overlap. Brennan, let's hear it. You have a concrete plan here?
Yeah. So the simple fact is you got to market the other teams, right? In the World Series this year, a big reason why the viewership went down is because there were two teams in the World Series who weren't terrific in the regular season, who they were good enough to make the playoffs, and they went on a run in the playoffs. And these teams really aren't nationally known. I mean, the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, when you think about baseball, those teams are not the most iconic in the league. So the MLB needs to start marketing these like medium, middle of the pack other teams and the players that go along with them. I know they do this sometimes when the team has a superstar like Julio Rodriguez, but baseball is not about the Dodgers and the Yankees, especially when those teams always choke in the playoffs.
All
and
right.
then you have teams like the Rangers and Diamondbacks making
and
the World
Kyle
Series.
targeting the underrepresented fans.
Yes. So I could say I totally agree with Brennan there, but I said I want the sport to be more accessible and more understandable for newer fans because personally, I've always been a big guy for baseball, but I always see the stat lines and this, and I don't really know what's happening. And personally, I think a good thing that they've done recently is the not shot clock, but like the pitch clock, because that speeds games up way fast. Because not a lot of people are going to be willing to sit down at a baseball stadium for 3+ hours or something like that. So I think they need to reinvent the wheel because it really has not been working very recently.
All right, then you have 1:30 to reinvent that wheel. Let's hear it.
All right, so we got to come up with a plan here. I think we got to incorporate both elements from my plan and your plan here, 100%. Do you have any area you want to start? Like, I think the rule changes that they're doing are very good, and I 100% agree with you. Understandable for newer fans, because now we're living in a world where batting average doesn't matter, and you have a player can bat 190 and still be considered a superstar. So I agree with you. They need to make the stats, and they need to emphasize those stats. Like OPB, OPS, slugging percentage, they need to make those the big stats, remove batting average. And I think they're doing that a little bit. I've seen a couple of posts on MLB's Instagram and social medias where they're excluding that from a player's statistics. So I agree with you on that.
I just think in general, my view is from the fans' perspective. I think baseball is probably the oldest age range for fans, I would say.
Yeah. I think they definitely have the oldest demographic, and that's that's what's tricky with baseball is you
You
have
have to do
to
something that works for
conserve.
both
You have to
sides.
preserve the
Yeah.
old fans, but you have to bring in a newer audience as well. And I think if they continue to market the young stars on these teams,
On every team,
right? Like
period.
on every team. That's what I'm saying. They have to market the other teams as well, because baseball is really the only sport where a team can. I mean, we saw it last year in other leagues, but two teams, not just one,
Two
two
wild card
teams,
teams too.
two wild card teams went on and made a World Series
Okay,
run.
so is that the plan that we're sticking to? Just remarket the whole entire league here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you start
Yeah.
big, and then maybe you can get smaller to like particular series,
Mhm.
different little changes about that. So I
Yeah.
like where you guys are going there.
Accessibility
That's
at all ends needs to be a lot better.
absolutely. So that's 4 points that you guys have there. And then we're gonna stick still in Super Bowl land, but now back to actual football. So Chris Jones spoke Monday about how the Chiefs have been labeled as villains, and he said that was kind of a sudden change from a few years ago. So in general, what do you think is the biggest reason that teams change from bringing fan favorites to being labeled as villains? Is it just winning? Is there something else? What is that reasoning?
I think we agree, because I get what he's saying with the media, and I think it.
I mean, so Brennan, do you agree with Kyle's statement? Because I would say they're a little different initially, but is that what you
honestly, I kind of want to say what I want to say here.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Then
I'll
we'll
let you-
have
I'll let you go.
35
Okay.
seconds. We'll give Brennan his floor first. Let's go.
All right. So I said winning Super Bowls and conference championships consistently, plus a tiny bit of player hateability sprinkled in there. So the Chiefs, because they win all the time, obviously they're going to be considered the bad guys and the villains of the league. And there's a reason why teams like the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals are not labeled as villains. And I mean, you look back to the Patriots dynasty, Tom Brady, the New England Patriots, the evil empire they were nicknamed. And Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Philip Rivers, no one was considering them bad guys because they didn't win to the level and consistently enough that Tom Brady and the Patriots were winning. And then I said a little bit of player hateability, and this mainly comes from what the Chiefs
Brennan.
have going on.
Kyle, it's your turn.
Please. All right. So again, I agree with a lot of what you just said there, but I think a big aspect of it is not only the consistency of winning, but how the media kind of sparks that. Because, we've seen as much as you may or may dislike Taylor Swift, that's been a very, very big point of emphasis for a lot of older fans, is that not only am I seeing the Chiefs win every week, but now there's some celebrity that I don't really know involved with it. And that's just, I am a fan of it, but I can understand why the older fans are not huge proponents of it. But whenever it's shoved down your throats, not even on the field, but on your phone and stuff like that, that's when it gets pretty bad.
Okay, so minute 30. Is this a media problem, or is this inherent to the football field?
So honestly, that's kind of what I said about player hateability, because now before Korey coming off, I was going to talk about Taylor Swift and her being such a controversial figure in the NFL world, and that creates hatred for some of the fans.
Totally does.
And it's not just Taylor Swift. Like when Jackson Mahomes starts showing up on your TikTok account doing his dances with Patrick Mahomes' wife, to people who are, I think, hated among every NFL fan, maybe minus Chiefs fans. And then now you have Patrick Mahomes' father getting arrested with DWI.
He did that.
He did. This just adds fuel to the fire again for the hatred of the Chiefs. And I think the reason is it's definitely because of the media to a very large extent, especially with the Taylor Swift stuff.
I think when you look at professional athletes, you don't think of them as millionaires, but they are millionaires. But when you have other people that are not athletes, but kind of have that sort of millionaire mindset where they do this, they don't have to work, they don't have to do whatever. That makes that makes everyone else around them way worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we pivoted here,
I
but
agree.
you guys do agree that it's the external factors of just other people coming in that are kind of
Obviously,
It's
winning
the winning.
and how the media
is a
markets
part of
it.
it, but
It's the winning, the media, external factors.
but
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
a better,
Okay.
different answer is the media, definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's gonna be five question mark 5 points for you guys.
I think so.
So let's go back to the NBA here for one moment. Also in the news is NBA All Stars. So who was your biggest NBA All Star snub here? That was a
Okay,
top
I
of the week
have
thing,
two.
but it's still topical.
And if Kyle says, okay, yeah, I agree with that. I chose his teammate.
Oh, okay. All right. We've got a
But-
battle of the Kings bros here. Okay. So advocate for one here. Kyle, go.
Alrighty, so my man Domantas Sabonis, he's currently averaging a double-double. He's leading the league in rebounding. He's actually damn near averaging a triple-double. It's very, very impressive, especially this far into the season. And personally, I talked about De'Aaron Fox in my notes here as well. I only think that
I talked about
the
Sabonis.
only reason why I think neither made the All-Star game is it's a popularity contest for the most part. A good chunk of it is. And B, the team has not been doing great recently. I think they're 6th or 7th in the West right now. But I have other points to talk about this, but I'll let
Sure.
Brennan go.
And then Brennan.
Yeah, so actually the Kings are third, or I think they're tied for they're third in the Western Conference right now. But how is someone like De'Aaron Fox averaging 27 points a game, 5.5 assists, shooting 38% from three at a high volume, not on an All-Star team? And then you have other teams have All-Stars over the Kings, who, like I said, are the third best team. And I put Sabonis as well in there, and I definitely agree with you that he also deserves to be an All-Star. I just went with the facilitator of the Kings offense.
Okay, so
and
we're gonna get into a minute 30. Before we do that, set the record straight. The Kings are the 7th best team in the Western Conference right now.
I just
Talk for a minute.
I thought they weren't they like 29?
They are,
they're
but
a
that's
game
7th
behind.
best.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it's
because
crazy.
the top 4 in the West are very, very good right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
I
the
just
Clippers
checked
are
that.
4 and they have 34 wins. All right, minute 30 tops now.
Okay, let me extend my case here. So
Yeah.
a stat that I did not realize was a thing, but hey, player impact estimate, which tells you how much a player is important to a team. Sabonis has a higher PIE than Durant and LeBron, and who are both starters in the front court for the West. So he has been more impactful with technically less help, because I mean Fox wasn't an All-Star either,
Yeah.
and I know Booker and Davis are reserve players for the West right now. So I think Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox has been great, but I think Sabonis he's done more with less. Personally, this is what I think.
Yeah, I think Fox has done more with less too. And I mean, honestly, I might concede to Sabonis, because how can you leave someone who's top 10 in MVP voting off of the All-Star team? Like, it makes no sense. Sabonis was actually my original pick. I don't know why I switched to Fox.
I think Fox is my original pick too. So
I'll say that Fox is a little bit more of like an all-starry guy. Like, he's a little bit more showy.
Yeah,
so
totally.
He makes more sense for the all-star team. But Domantas Sabonis, I think that you guys are now agreeing to it 100%. He deserves it.
I love my boy. You know, he's a Pacers legend.
Pacers legend.
That was probably one of the most fair trades in NBA history.
That was the Halliburton
Come
trade,
out there
right?
and say it.
Yeah,
That was the Halliburton trade. But I think they both deserve to be there, honestly.
Definitely deserve.
Both different positions.
But I think when you look at the other front court guys in the league, I'm not trying to shout out LeBron here, but like, who's been more impactful on the team?
Yeah.
I think Sabonis has.
Yep.
and that's your time. Brennan, do you agree with Kyle?
I'm gonna have to agree.
Well done,
honestly,
Kyle. I
it's
think that's the first time you've ever brought Brennan over to your side.
Let's go.
It's going through my mind, like, why did I choose De'Aaron? Because Sabonis was my original pick, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
all right.
That's 6 agreements right there for you guys.
Gotta show respect to my boy Sabonis.
You have one more question to be doing before we move on to the speed round. So let's see if you can get question number 7 here correct. and we're going to end it in the NHL. So the NHL just did a comprehensive audit of the hits statistic, which caused like a lot of like leaderboard changes on that, and players were happy about it, but it's a really weird thing to see. Do you like the idea of changing statistics after games? And if so, to what extent? Do we do that seasons on? What kind of things? Okay, so we got Kyle has an answer, and Brennan is still taking forever, as always. And okay, all right, interesting.
Okay,
Kyle,
yeah.
let's go.
So I said to the fullest extent, I think players, regardless of how poorly or well they played in a game, they should have the most accurate stat line possible throughout the season. And I can understand why you do things through the season, then you go back and look at it. But when you look at how at least other people view the players or compare players, the only way you can really quantify that is with the stats. You could say, oh, he did this and he did that. But like, in general, in order to compare players, the most effective way possible throughout the season, especially for stuff we talked about the All-Star, is I think through that sort of way.
And Brennan, you have a different approach. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I looked at this more not as through a player's perspective, but through a general perspective here. I just don't think it's a great idea to do it during the season like this. If you want to go ahead and do it, change it after the season, that's fine. But not only does it affect the players, it affects other aspects of the sports world too. For instance, it affects fantasy football. And I mean, I know fantasy hockey, or not fantasy football, fantasy hockey. And I know fantasy hockey isn't as popular as fantasy football. But imagine if the NFL took away the yards after catch stat for passing mid-season. Like, how would you react to your fantasy team like having a great quarterback, throwing for a bunch of yards, and then all those yards after catch stat gets removed? It also messes with the sports books, because now there's different odds for players to win. If you put money down now, then you're kind of screwed. And then it does impact the players. It impacts contract negotiations, arbitration hearings. So if you want to do it, that's fine, and I get the reasoning why they did it for player safety and whatnot. But just wait until after the season to do it.
I think your point is a little mute when you're talking about like fantasy stuff, and like you can just wait till that's been done and redone before that kind of goes through. Or it could be sure they went back. This is kind of an extraneous example. They went back and changed stuff, but like, if we're doing day by day sort of things where okay, maybe this guy had one less hit or one less whatever. If that's the way that we're doing it like that, then like I'm fine with that. I think if it goes through multiple processes and it takes a while, but if it works, it works. You know, like.
I mean, it does, but you just can't do it mid-season. I think there's a lot of other, like I said, there's a lot of other aspects that it affects rather than just hockey. And I mean, especially in the game, like if someone's leading the league in hits and then all of a sudden they're not, that player can't use that anymore for leverage during his contract hearings. He's going to be making less money.
Right.
And so I think the audit is fine unless you just wait until the end of the season to do it and then change the rules.
Okay.
So that
the stats are more accurate. Kyle, you still stand firm on no
that's my
for
thought
that
process.
No, because initially I did say I'm fine with that. I think, you know what? No, I'm staying firm.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I could maybe hear it, but I don't think Brennan gave very compelling arguments with your whole fantasy thing.
Yes.
Because if you changed the fantasy stats after the entire season,
all right, Korey, how would you feel?
I'd be just as angry, especially if I missed.
No, but the results would be finished. The results would be finished.
Yeah, but what if I missed? What if I missed the playoffs? But there were 5 games I should have won. Whenever they went back,
I know, but like, what if? All right,
it doesn't matter.
All right. So what if you were on? What if you had 3 wins?
I mean, you're wrong, but it's okay. So 6 points for you guys, and the way you're going to get your last 4, if you're going to get your last 4, is in a speed round. And today, what is our theme for the speed round? It's full teamwork. It's going to be a trivia show here. We're going to have some Super Bowl trivia.
dude.
You guys are going to have to team up.
I'm
And
gonna
if
kill
one
this.
of you guys knows the answer, then you get that point as together. So you have 2 minutes to answer as many Super Bowl trivia questions as possible as a team. Each correct answer
right.
is
Totally
going
do
to
this for
reward you
myself.
1 point. Only one of you needs to say the answer. But the second that I hear a guess that isn't just brainstorming ideas, then you're moving on to the next question. So you have to
That's
really be sure about those answers. And you can
Sure.
skip questions, but both of you have to agree to skip before I move on to the next.
okay.
All right. Does that all make sense?
All right.
I should tear
Here we
through
go.
this. I should
You
tear through
probably should, Kyle.
Well, we'll see what the questions
All
are.
right.
All
Okay. Your 2 minutes starts now. All right. What day did the Green Bay Packers defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl I?
What day?
What day?
What day?
Like, do you mean year?
I said day.
Month, day, year?
Like day of the week.
Like Sunday.
No. What day year is what I mean.
What? Month, day, year.
month,
Fuck.
day, year? Oh my God. Okay, it's January something. 1967, I think. Because it would have been.
Yeah, he's nodding his head. All right. January
Some late. Just pick some late day in January. No.
16th.
You are 1 day. You are 1 day away, so I'll give you that. It was January 15th.
Okay.
That's a point. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
All right.
Next question. Which Super Bowl saw the greatest in-person attendance at 103,985 fans? So give me the year.
It had to have
Give
been.
me the year or the number, where it was held, and who played.
Oh shit.
I think it was. Wasn't it the MetLife game? What Super Bowl was played at
That was,
MetLife back in like
Broncos
2000?
and the
That was
Seahawks.
the Broncos Seahawks, right?
The
That sounds right because
Is
that's the
that-
biggest capacity
Is that
stadium.
your guess?
Is that
Yeah,
Broncos
yeah.
Seahawks
That is
MetLife?
incorrect. All right, next question. Which of these cities has hosted the most Super Bowls? Detroit, New York, or Houston?
Houston.
Is it Houston?
New York's not
Houston.
even technically even right.
New York
And
City.
Detroit's only hosted one. And Houston, I feel like, I think they've hosted at least two. And I think the Jets and the Giants have only hosted once. I think it's Houston.
20 seconds for 3 more
It's
points.
Houston.
It's Houston.
Okay, that's correct. What quarterback has thrown the most all-time passing yards without winning a Super Bowl?
Dan Marino.
Is it Jim Dan
That is
Marino?
incorrect.
Yeah.
Who has the most combined Super Bowl rushing yards?
What do you mean combined Super Bowl rushing yards? What do you mean by that?
Across all of his Super Bowl appearances.
Was it good?
Emmett Smith.
That is
I'll go
that
with
is incorrect. You guys did not make it to 10 points, and I will tell you the correct answers to what you missed here today.
What?
So, yeah, sorry guys. So, MetLife
Those are
is not
difficult.
is not the greatest capacity stadium. It's actually Rose Bowl Stadium is the
no, I was
greatest.
gonna-
And that has the top 3 most attendance. So, Super Bowl 14 in Pasadena,
Rose Bowl.
California, where the
that
Pittsburgh
was
Steelers
Steelers
defeated the
one.
LA Rams 31-19.
Rams.
That is the
Yeah.
number 1 attendance. By the way, Detroit does have 2 Super Bowl, has hosted Super Bowl twice. New York has hosted it once, but Houston was correct with 3 Super Bowl
Wait, they've
hosts.
hosted twice?
Yeah,
I think that's not right. I'm
that
almost
is correct. Hold
sure.
on, I can try to pull up.
Because they did
I-
Super Bowl 40, and that's it.
Hold on.
No, you're right, because
I know I'm right. I'm just going to show you. I'm
the
just
Niners
gonna,
and the Bengals played in the
Super Bowl.
Pontiac. It was
Okay.
the
Awesome.
old one.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then quarterback with the most all-time passing yards without winning a Super Bowl is Phillip Rivers, actually.
But I bet
he's-
they're close, right? I bet
He's
Rivers
6th
is-
all time. Phillip Rivers is 6th all time, and he has
bet Marino
not won a
is
Super
top
Bowl. Dan Marino is at 8th, and in between
Yeah.
them is Matt Ryan.
Mhm.
So-
okay. Well,
Yeah.
those were all
So and
good.
then most combined Super Bowl rushing yards with 4 Super Bowl appearances, 354 yards on 101 carries is Franco Harris.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
So
I could not have told you
Wow.
that.
So that's that
Apparently
for
not.
that. That's that for you guys. We will have another punishment here as our speed rounds are getting more niche, more different. We're leading to more incorrect answers, and as we do that, so I had a fun time, but you will have to be punished later this month.
Yes, sir.
Is that 3 punishments for me now? That's 3 for me. and
That
2
is
for
3
you.
for
Yeah.
you, and then 2 for me
That's
and Brennan.
3.
Damn it, man.
It's going to be
Okay.
a fun time. We already have one of our punishments picked out, but we're going to have to think of some other ones. So that's the show for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed this Super Bowl talk, this NBA trade deadline talk. Next week, we're probably going to have a little bit more Super Bowl talk retrospective before we go full speed ahead on non-NFL topic kind of things, at least until the offseason really kicks off. So that's that for today. Anything you guys want to say before we head off?
Go follow us, Banterball, all platforms. You know the drill. You know the drill. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's go Mountaineers. Okay, so
go Lions. Cincinnati Lions.
All right.
Yes, sir.
This has been your moderator, Korey, with Brennan and Kyle, signing off. See ya.
Bye-bye.